So as we do approach today's solving the system by graphing, we're actually going to do the solving this time around. So you might want to remember, go eat cookies, go eat cookies. We're going to graph the puppy. Then we're going to estimate where we think the intersection happens. And then we are going to check the solution. There we go. Now, of course, checking, plugging things in and they work. But another way of checking is using your technology, in which we'll show you today. All right. So just to refresh ourselves, you do not have to write down in future all the M's and B's. We're just doing this here so that you remember, like, mentally what's happening. So let's take a look at our first slope. Our first slope right here is -1. And it starts at the y-intercept of +2. While we're there, we might as well graph that. So I have the benefit of multiple colors. You don't need multiple colors, but it may help in some cases. So that means I begin at +2 on the y-axis right there. And now I go down 1, right 1, down 1, right 1, or up 1, left 1, like so. Notice I'm not shading or anything. This is not an absolute value, so we're not bouncing around. All I do is connect the dots. La, la, la. Next, the slope here is +1, and notice that my y-intercept is 2. Again, so I start here, and this time I go up 1, right 1, or down 1, left 1, like so. Now this is fairly straightforward. If you had to guess where the intersection was, that is, if you had to guess where the solution of the system was, what would you say? So we're estimating this at 0, 2. And I say estimating because it could be 0 and 1.999999999. So generally that's not going to be that complicated, especially when you're hand graphing. All right, so now we just plug and play. I'm going to start plugging in these values right here. So I'm going to plug in the 2 right here equals, remember yesterday we put a little question mark because we're not sure yet. Then I'm going to put a 0 in and bring down the +2. And after I simplify, I get 2 equals 2. No question about it. Checks out. Now repeat the process here. Place 2 there. Equals, again, a 0. Bring down a +2. And 2 equals 2. Also a check. So what do I commit to? Where do I highlight or circle? This is the answer right here. This is my solution to the system. My solution to the system. It's where the two lines intersect. It is the point that satisfies both equations. Problem number 3 now. And how do we graph this? So let's have our tech down and we can follow along. And what do you notice that's different here about this system versus the other ones that we had? If we want to put this into slope-intercept form, then we need to solve for y. Now, we don't always have to. In fact, I won't in this case. However, you might find it helpful, especially if you're using your TI calculators. All right. So what kind of line is this one here? Do we remember? It's a special line. And it is always a horizontal line. Whenever y is just alone, there's no x at all, it's a horizontal line. So this one's the most easiest to graph. Why? Exactly. All we have to do is go to the y equals 1, bonk, and go horizontal all the way across. That's it. Very straightforward. So y equals 1, which is right here, and now just horizontal it, like so. And notice, we could find the x and y intercepts, plot those, and connect the dots. I like to do that, but if you prefer slope-intercept form, you may. In fact, we'll do both just in case right now. So if I were to do y-intercept, remember, for y-intercept, I have to excuse me, x, let me start with the x-intercept. I have to just delete the y there. So I get 3x equals 16. 16 over 3, which is 5 1/3. Positive 5 1/3. Now, if I wanted to find out what the y-intercept is, you delete the 3x. And you get 4y equals 16 and y equals 4. So that just tells me the 2 points. One point is y is at 4, so I can go up there, y is 4. The other one is x is 5 1/3, which is slightly off my graph, but that's okay. And now, I'm going to connect the dots, like so. And if your line is straight, now you can take a pretty good guess at what you think the solution is. So I'm guessing the solution is 4, 1. That's my guess. Now, before I actually check that or use technology, let me just go ahead and put this into slope-intercept form, just in case some of us prefer that method. So, again, you do not have to do this, but if it is something you're more comfortable with, we need to get y by itself. So my first step is to subtract the 3x from both sides. So I did that. Minus 3x here, which means I also subtracted here. So I have negative 3x plus 16. And now I have to divide each piece by 4. Yes, I end up with a fraction, but that's not crazy because it's just the slope. But notice that the y-intercept is a nice whole number. So if I were to graph this, I start at the 4, which is up here. I start at the 4, which is right here. And I go down 3, right 4. Oh, look. There it goes. Down 3, right 4. Takes me off the graph. So, by the way, it's just coincidence that it hits the intersection. Doesn't always have to do that. So if you prefer slope-intercept form, that works as well. Now let's finish it by checking it. And how do we do that? How do I check the y equals 1? How do I check y equals 1? Well, remember up here, this is my x and this is my y. So where do I put x? I don't. There is no x to substitute in. So what can I substitute in? I only substitute this one right there. So that seems kind of silly, and you're like, duh. Well, that's nice. Just not much work. And the other one was 3x plus 4y equals 16. So now I just plug in those values. 3 times 4 plus 4 times 1. And we see if it equals 16, big question mark. 12 plus 4, question mark 16. And lastly, 16 equals 16. Yay! It works. Now let's finish up on number 4 here. What do we notice about this one right here? What type of line do you think it's going to be? Vertical. These ones are muy fácil. All you do is go to the x is 2 and go up and down. That's it. Here's x equals 2 and go up and down. Like so. Now this one, again, pick your poison. If you want to go slope-intercept form, then do that. If you want to just go ahead and find the two intercepts and graph those, then do that. I'll leave it up to you. Go. All right, so now that you've done this, let's go ahead and work through it. I'm going to find the two intercepts here. So the first intercept is going to be get rid of the 4x, and so 4y, and x is going to be 4. Now, looking at this one, 4y equals 8, so y is equal to 2. So I can go ahead and graph those 2 points and connect the dot. So x is 4 would be right here, and y equals 2 is right here. And when we connect the dots, we get this back here. Now notice that's kind of an ugly line, so I'm going to clean it up a little bit and try to make it as straight as possible. And notice this is where the estimation part comes in. We estimate that it crosses at this point right here, which is 2, 1. 2, 1. And the only way for us to check it is to put it in here. Now clearly x is already 2, we know that, so it works there. When I plug a 2 here, I get 4. When I plug a 1 here, I get 4. So 4 plus 4 equals 8, and it does indeed work.